Hey guys, what's up? It is GVKcollectibles, of course, and today, as y'all know, it is Mythical Mountain Monday, the show where I talk about some of the comics that I read from last week. Some of my favorite ones, some of the ones that I liked, and I will give you my impression of them. So, let me show you my poll list, because this is my poll list for this week. It was a relatively big week, of course. It was the beginning of the month, so a lot of stories were coming out, a lot of great stories, too. The next Batman, Second Son finish, that was really, really good from John Ridley. There's a few others. Let me see. Good Asian was really, really cool. I actually caught up on Geiger. I read Geiger 3 and 4. Fantastic, as always. Also, read Skybound Anniversary. So this is like kind of like an imprint or like a side print of Image Comics, and it had some cool stories in it. It had one of the ones I was focused on was the Ultra Omega storyline, of course, just because that's the main book I'm reading from them. Like, along with Part of the Truth and a lot of others. I read a lot of Image Comics, which is really, really cool. Rick Grimes 2000, which was just like a fun, really crazy take on the Walking Dead franchise. Manifest Destiny, which was really, really funny. And also the introduction of Clementine, where Clementine's actually getting some of her own solo comic books, which is really, really cool to see that character make the branch, who started out in the Telltale Walking Dead games, and make that jump into the main series. Hellions was really, really fun. War with Bounty Hunters continues to be really, really fun too. Red Sonja Black and White was really, really good. Unlike a lot of the other books, I think within like this kind of, whether it be the Wonder Woman book, Batman Black and White, Superman Red, White, and Blue, there's only 3 stories contained in this, but they were all relatively fun. And each one of them had unique artists and different art on them. I do think Gail Simone is actually coming back for one of them. Nocterra continues to be amazing. Jenny Zero is fun still, so I'm just giving off some of the read-offs. Conjuring, I read Conjuring Lovers. That was really, really fun and cool. Batman The Adventures continues, really, really great. Wonder Girl 2 continues to be outstanding, and I can't wait for the series to continue. Swamp Thing was really, really cool, because it had the introduction. John Constantine was in it, I really loved him. As I said, Batman Second Son was really, really good, really complex, and I actually think I will be picking up the I Am Batman, which is going to be Jace Fox as Batman. I think there's going to be something that goes on within the main book where Bruce Wayne is out of commission. He can't be Batman anymore because of things going on. So, yeah, so those are some of my comics that I read, just kind of brief overviews of them. So, let me get into the top 10. So, number 5, it is Trials of Ultraman, number 4 from Kyle Higgins, and his awesome team. Story continues to ramp up. So if what we learned is the U.S., there is this organization that have become disillusioned with the Science Patrol, thinking that they created the kaijus essentially. And what we learn is from the last issue, somebody has been artificially making kaijus. And the artificial kaiju that they make is Jiris, aka, for those of you who know, Jiris is a for those of you who don't know, Jiris is a big fan favorite kaiju from the original series. He's actually, it's actually funny because he is essentially Godzilla. It is a Godzilla suit that was actually reused. It's actually the 64 suit with just a frill on it. And basically what we're learning is that they were creating artificial kaiju to kind of rally people up to be against like the Science Patrol and everything. So it is really, really interesting. There are really not a lot of them. There is cool moments, I think, with because it's ramping up to the final issue number 5. Then we'll get into probably another series, which they actually did confirm, which we'll get to at the end. But there are cool things where like Shin and Ultraman have like dialogue, which you don't really get that even when I was watching the show originally. This could have changed without future entries into the Ultraman franchise. But I really love how they kind of have these conversations of what's right to do. It's like you can't just Shin, like Kiki and the commander are in trouble, and it's like they can't change the situation, like they can't just transform and like turn on civilians, which is really, really cool, and they have this kind of dialogue with each other. But it is really, really cool because we get to see Jiris, and I give the artist super credit of trying not to make Jiris look completely like Godzilla, because the character has been kind of noted of being Godzilla, but it is really cool to see him in the comic books too, but we also get introduced to a actual real kaiju, Zobardo. I will put the name because I'm probably butchering it, but the series continues to be really, really fun. The art is absolutely outstanding, and it is just cool to kind of, from Francesco Mana, I think, is really, really good, and Espen Gutierrez, I believe, or Guten Jiren, I believe. Once again, all the creative teams will be down below. I know I'm pronouncing a lot of those names wrong, but it is really, really cool. I'm super excited, and to get kind of, and I also got the Matt Frank variant, which is really, really cool. And if you can see, maybe Godzilla, maybe that's Jairus, maybe that's Godzilla, who knows? It's kind of a really cool little thing to keep in there, but you got a lot of the other characters in the Ultraman franchise in there, which is really, really cool. So what it comes down to, what I was going to say at the end, is that Ultra 7 is getting his own book in 2022. So that's actually going to be really exciting. And for those who don't know, Dan Morbushi, who's in the book right now, who they had saved to the previous issues, he is actually going to become Ultra 7. He's actually Ultra 7 in the shows. Even though Ultra 7 is the original show, it's kind of out of continuity for the regular Ultraman. They did do some retconning to make it a part of the main Ultraman timeline, I believe. Once again, I'm not too completely sure about the Ultraman, like the timelines and everything with Ultraman, so I'm not necessarily the best expert to say. But within this, they've actually retconned him to actually have Dan be the first one to have contact with an Ultraman, like the Ultramen, which is really, really cool, I think. So yeah, that is my number 5 recommendation. It is Ultraman number 4 from Kyle Higgins. It continues to be really, really fun. I can't wait to the final issue. So the next one is Batman 110 from James Tynion V. This book continues to be awesome. This is like where I felt like the first issue was kicking off this new kind of thing with like the Magistrate Peacekeeper number 1. This really continues to like ramp up the hype with it, and we do get like flashbacks in here of what Batman is dealing with currently, like what the current time, like a lot of the story is doing, where he has been captured by Scarecrow. Now he's trying to escape, but then we learn he is like, the Fear State is upon us. So this is actually going to gear into Fear State, which is going to be the next big Batman event, which is really, really cool. And it's really, really awesome as we learn that Mayor Nakado actually basically calls Simon Saint to basically implement the Magistrate program, which is going relatively quick as opposed to Future State, where it seemed like they were in there for quite a bit. So it is a little different. Like, I think Future State was primarily the idea of introducing concepts that would be used in the main continuity, and that was a possible timeline that they could go into. But like, Batman is actually kind of like getting his ass kicked by Peacemaker 1, Sean Mahone, which is like, you usually don't see Batman like this, because usually Batman gets the upper hand on a lot of situations, but it is really interesting to see him just get manhandled, which is really, really interesting. But overall, of like what we're learning is like Simon Saint and have planted a bomb in the old City Hall, and basically they are framing the Uninsane Collective, which are actually a good group of people that Batman has learned about through Miracle Molly, which is really, really cool. That she is kind of the antithesis to like a lot of the villains that we've been seeing. I don't even think she's primarily a villain. She is an anti-hero, because really the Peacemakers and Saint are really the bad guys. But luckily, Batman escapes Peacekeeper 1 with the help of Ghostmaker and Harley, which is really, really cool. And eventually what we learn is what we kind of assumed. While Sean Mahone was like shown as a hero of Gotham on A-Day, he's actually truly a monster, as Harley said. And she knew this even before she was locked in a cell, when she was actually a doctor there. So it is really, really cool to see that. So it is the idea that maybe this is all being set up for Simon Saint, like both him and Scarecrow are working together to basically put on this kind of show to work in the Magistrate and to get like a greater goal in mind, which is really, really cool. Then eventually Simon Saint, Peacekeeper 1, he and the peacekeeping force of the Magistrate run into Miracle Molly. They basically, Miracle Molly surrenders, but Simon Saint Mahone lies, essentially, saying that they have armed forces, and ultimately Saint gives the right to Peacekeeper 1 to basically execute the Uninsane Collective that are left. So it is to show these guys are bastards, and even if later ployed in the show, the bomb that was actually planted at City Hall was actually done by Peacekeeper 1, so he's just as, like as I said before with Harley talking about him, he is just much as a bastard as we expect. And of course we get a continuation of the Ghost Chapter 4 of Ghostmaker, and I think it's just fun, and it shows the instigator, the character I've been kind of waiting for, his backstory for in this book, of where he basically, how his challenge with Ghostmaker is, he tried to kill Ghostmaker without the armor on, because he thought the armor was a part of his strength, and he later learns that it's not all the armor. It's him as a character, very much like Batman. So it is really, really cool. What I could say about the Ghostmaker like tie-in stories, I feel like it's tying just playing very anime-esque and manga-esque, which I really, really enjoy within the side story, as it kind of diverges from the main series story that's going on right now in the Batman comics. So yeah, Batman 1010, this book continues to be really, really fun. I think it's really ramping up with this current storyline with the Peacekeepers and the Magistrate and Scarecrow. I'm very excited for Sphere State when that eventually comes out. So yeah, Batman 110 is one of my recommendations for, well, number 4 recommendation, I should say. Right, and for my number 3 recommendation, so this was actually a really, really cool book that came out. I wasn't expecting to like it as much, just because it is a relaunch. If those of you who know what I'm talking about, it is X-Men number 1. This one is not written by John Hickman anymore, as the creative team has changed. It is now Jerry Duggan, who, may I say, does an amazing job with this issue. I think Jerry Duggan does a really, really good job. So it actually shows this kind of new character that Kelvin Hughes, who is like Hugh, I believe. I'll put the name down below. But basically, we kind of learn his backstory and what his goal was to terraform Mars for humanity. But yes, we all know from Planet-Size X-Men, that didn't come out to be true, because the X-Men have essentially, and Mutantdom, I should say, as a whole, has basically terraformed Mars. So it is really, really cool, because we also get introduced to this new X-Team that is, let me show you the consistent lineup. It is Cyclops, Jean, who were from the original run. We got Sunfire, Sync, Wolverine, Polaris, who I really love from X Factor, and Rogue, of course. But we actually show the new kind of X-Men base, kind of like Avengers Mansion and everything. It's a treehouse within the middle of New York State, and it's actually kind of cool, because we actually get dialogue, kind of a meeting with Ben Urich of the Daily Bugle, sorry. And him and Cyclops have a really cool conversation with each other, as Ben is actually really pro-mutant. He doesn't seem, he actually kind of likes what the X-Men are doing, because he knows of the past deeds that they have done, of where they've done heroic things, which is really, really cool. And we also get a room of the tree, explore the treehouse, which is really, really cool. Eventually what we learn is we get to see this giant robot thing. It actually looks really, really cool. Very something kind of like out of War of the Worlds, like the remake from Steven Spielberg. But we get to see the whole team come together, and I gotta say, the art by Pepe Lazar, Lazaz, I believe, and also Martí Garcia, sorry, on colors. It is an absolutely beautiful book. Probably one of the most beautiful books, I think, out of the X-Men. I think, I'm trying to remember what books I said. I think Sword and this are going to be really tied for the best looking X-Men books. Not to say any of the other books look bad. I think all the books, all the X-Files have really top 10 artists and creative teams on them. But it is really, really cool. They get to fight this robot, which is really cool. And they eventually, with Polaris, where she's very much like Magneto, can manipulate metal, she actually makes a mech, which is pretty freaking cool. And we also get a preview for Trials of Magneto, who's going to be written by Leah Williams, who did X Factor, so I'm super excited. And that's just for me more of an incentive to read that book, because I really liked her writing in X-Force. But we get to go fight with this robot, which is really, really cool, which is actually, there's a point where it's actually psionically attacking everybody, like especially like all the citizens of New York, so it is really, really cool. But they eventually beat the crap out of it as Wolverine, aka Laura Kenning, goes in and actually like kills it from the inside, so it's really, really cool. And what we learn is this kind of villain who's working on it, that it's kind of like a gambling set within a gambling like place within the universe, within space. Game World is what it's called, and they basically are betting against. There's this like kind of fungus looking thing that are kind of like planning games to basically destroy Earth, but in the way of doing it through gambling, which is really fun and unique. But at the end of the issue, which we learn a lot, we eventually learn that somebody in New Jersey is actually trying to understand how the hell the mutants are resurrecting the dead. So I think this is the first kind of revelation, I could be completely wrong, of course, though, that the idea that there are people knowing that the mutants can resurrect themselves. So it is going to be very interesting to see this story going forward. I think and that's what is trying to go on right now. At this Institute of Dr. Stasis. Basically, he's trying to find a way to do the same resurrection process with humans, which is going to be very interesting to see how that comes to fruition. But it is very, very good book. Like this is a very awesome book. Like I think it is a great relaunch. I would have preferred if they just called it, if it was the same story, like the same like run, essentially. Like if this was just issue, I think 27 technically it would have been. But Jerry Duggan does a great job. I think he does a great job of taking over the reins of the book. I'm very excited to continue reading this book, especially with this cool team. I love Wolverine. I love Rogue. Sync, it looks awesome. I actually really enjoyed his character in the previous few issues where it was Wolverine, Darwin, and him going through the vault. It was really, really cool and well done. Also, Sunfire's in it, and I love Polaris. I love her redesign in this book. So, yeah, that is my number 3 recommendation. It is X-Men. So, with my next recommendation, we're down to the final 2. It is, I think, no surprise that people. I praised the crap out of this book last time. It is Nice House on the Lake 2, and this one actually focuses on the beginning. So I think this is how the book is going to go forward. It's going to focus on each of the members of the house itself and kind of giving a backstory of what happened on that day. So we definitely have the first. So we have like a flashback to. I forget what his name, but he is the musician, and he's talking to Martin. Not Martin, what the hell? I think it's Walter, sorry, my bad. But it is really, really cool, because it actually picks up relatively after the night. And we actually, it's really, really cool, because we also get a sense of, there's a house log transcript. So they're being recorded and they don't know it. It's basically of them going through of like what the hell just happened at the end of the last issue, which is really, really cool. But Rick is his name, of course, sorry about that. But Rick eventually comes into contact with Walter again, and Walter kind of looks normal, but like his reflection very looks much like how he did in the last issue, which is really, really creepy. I really love the look and the design that Time's going with compared to the first issue, where we actually see like recordings and everything and transmissions, like transcripts of what the hell's going on, and they actually talk about how there's still things up, so they actually have internet access. They have like kind of all these things, like not even phone access, to see like what the hell's going on in the world, because they still, once again, they're still in the dark and they don't know what the hell's going on. which is really, really interesting. And they're all trying to, like, kind of cope with what the hell is going on. And we actually eventually learn that Nora and Sarah actually have a conversation. They actually go to try to look and see what the hell is around here. And it's really, really cool. But then we also eventually learn, the Doctor eventually learns that there is a statue. If they touch it, they see where their home is and what has become of it. So it's basically on fire. And a lot of haunting imagery, I think, within this book. And also another thing I want to notice too, like this guy right here, I don't know if you can tell, he's actually kind of in this deformed kind of meat-like look, very body horror-esque look that even Walter looked like. So it's very, very cool. Then eventually, Rick has a talk with his wife, and basically they're trying to, Rick is trying to bring them all together, but it's also, he's very much being manipulated by Walter. So I really liked this issue because it kind of continues the mystery of what the hell has happened. We don't get really much explanation of what happened. We don't get much explanation of what the hell Walter is. We get some idea of stuff because they eventually, like Nora and Sarah, they actually find a area with fucking guns, so it's like kind of confusing of what the hell is going on. So once again, I'm very excited for this issue. So I think each issue will focus on each of a different member. Like the opening will focus on a different opening of the member, then we'll get the wider story of what the hell's going on. But yeah, Last House on the Left continues, the Nice House on the Lake. Sorry, Nice House on the Left. Sorry, I got it confused with the Last House on the Left. But the Nice House on the Lake continues to be such a really creepy book, really cool, really ramps up the horror too, and the kind of suspense of where we don't know what's going on. It's also a mystery book too, which I really, really enjoyed. Once again, this issue really deals with like all the characters kind of dealing with what the hell has happened to the world. So once again, I'm very excited to continue reading this book because I think it's just a phenomenal book. Alright guys, and for the final book for today that I will recommend, of course, it is, Tony actually recommended this, and I'm actually going to be, I need to put this actually on my poll list because I didn't actually have this on my poll. It is frickin' Basilisk #2. So Basilisk #2, written by Cullen Bunn, art by Joseph Scariff, and Alex Guimarães, I believe. So it is really, really cool because we actually kind of get the continuation of what the hell is going on. So it is called, so the group that we learn that Reagan is a part of is called the Chimera, and they have all of them have a unique powers. We also know what Reagan is. She's very much like a basilisk, where you kind of die, like you start to die. Then we eventually learn that the leader of the group, who is Vanessa, she actually kind of has this weird kind of, she has this power to basically kind of disintegrate people. So it is very interesting. Once again, Cullen Bunn doesn't actually give a lot of context of like what they are, who they are. All that they know is that they are called the Chimera, part of a group called the Chimera. And it opens a conversation with Hannah. Basically, they having this that Reagan and her are in this car looking for the others, and Reagan doesn't really remember, because she actually does, like Reagan, unlike the others, she definitely feels like she the other members of the Chimera, who she regrets doing what she's done, which is very interesting. Of course, we also get the introduction of Johnny Boy, who is Jimmy Boy. Sorry, not Johnny Boy. Jimmy Boy, and we kind of get the idea that what his power is, of where they're in this diner, and essentially there's also another member of the group called let's see, is he actually a part of the Chimera? I actually don't know if he's actually a part. Nope. Yeah, I think he is. He actually is a part of the Chimera, and he's kind of like this, is like a centerhead of this, like, because they are followers of this group. So what he's basically doing is just like they kind of take care of, they destroy this diner and kill everybody in it, which is very like, holy crap, because it kind of shows that they have a disregard for humans, because they know they have a higher kind of power. That higher power, how they got it, they don't know. Even they don't really know, because they don't even give like an extended backstory of like, oh, this is how we got our powers. They basically say it's like when we came down from the mountains. So clearly something is on the mountains, but it's actually kind of cool, because eventually Regan has a conversation with Manny, another member of the Chimera, and Manny is kind of not necessarily in the same boat as Regan, of where he feels bad, but he doesn't want to pursue Regan. He doesn't want to hurt her because she is technically family. But we actually get a cooler. We kind of get motivation of why Hannah is doing this, because she is it's assumed that she is a survivor of the previous attack, and we do know that she had a daughter and a husband, so maybe something happened with that initial event. We don't know yet, so it is kind of cool, because we actually don't get to, we actually get a cut to the backstory of, Regan going through what she did, of where her, as soon as people see her gaze, they, die. And it really kind of sets in where there is a girl that's eventually killed. Now, is this Hannah's daughter? We don't know yet. She looks very much like Hannah's daughter at the end of within the photo, but once again, I think this book is really, really cool. It's a really awesome kind of horror-style book, which Boom has been doing a really good job of. They have a bunch of great books, like Something's Coming to Children, a lot of the Power Rangers run, and specifically Basilisk. Basilisk is fun. It is a really, really good book, and I do definitely suggest reading this. They actually did, I think, last week, because I made the mistake of actually getting a second printing of Chapter 1, but this is Chapter 2, so I am very excited to see where this is going. I am kind of interested to see what the origin of the Chimera story is, and how they got their powers, which is going to be really, really cool. So yeah, that is my number 1 recommendation. It is Basilisk number 2 from Colin Bunn. Colin Bunn does a really, really good job, and I think also with Titan, I would say, with the nice house on the left, they don't give you too much information of what they give you just enough information to make you wonder what the hell's going on, but not over-explain everything, which that could change later on in the several issues. The only other Colin Bunn story that I have really connection with is Godzilla Cataclysm, where there was this cataclysm that basically destroyed the world with all the monsters, and they don't necessarily, the characters don't necessarily know what happens, but you don't know it till the last few issues, which is really, really cool, and a really thing I enjoy about Colin Bunn and his writing. So yeah, the number 1 recommendation. So with that being said, that is Mythical Mountain Monday. I hope you guys enjoyed watching the video. Make sure to hit like and hit subscribe. Hit the little bell notification so you get notified when we upload Mythical Mountain Mondays, What's in the Box Wednesdays, and Figure Review Fridays. Also check us out on Mercari. Links will be down below. My Facebook page will also be too, and our Instagram. So with that being said, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Hopefully your week is safe and great, and peace.